Hello and welcome to the wonderful world of old sheet music. I'm Nicholas Carroll, your host. Tonight we are looking at a piece called Dainty Miss by Bernard Barnes. This is a Miller's piano solo, as it says, which is from Miller Music, Tin Pan Alley of New York. Over here we have a stamp you can't really see too well, but this was purchased for 50 cents at the music shop, I believe. Yes, Music Shop Incorporated in Cumberland, Maryland. So this one wasn't bought in Johnstown around our area, but Cumberland's not too far away. So I did a little bit of research on the composer, as I usually do, Bernard Barnes, who was a World War I veteran, and when he came back from the war, he moved to Seattle, Washington, and he became locally famous, I guess you could say, as a theater organist. So that means he played these like old electronic organs for silent movie soundtracks. And this piece, apparently he wrote, was one of the only compositions he wrote. In fact, it's the only composition he wrote that's published. So he may have written other things, of course, but this is the only one we really know of. And according to the records I found online, it became strangely popular, was what it said on the library I found this on. So this was from 1924, this edition, and that's when it was published initially as well. The other thing I think is interesting before I play it here, I'm going to hold this up closer. It says, play as if everything in the piece is a triplet. So it's certainly not written that way, but there's just kind of this footnote telling me that everything's supposed to be a triplet. So we'll see how that goes. So it's what we would call a foxtrot. That means it's kind of like almost like a humoresque. It's kind of a silly type sound. And I guess that fits the Dainty Miss title. And since I'm mostly focused on the sheet music, I want to make sure I point this. I'm using back of this out too. Here we have an advertisement printed on the back for somebody else's music. This guy, Nacio Herb Brown. And you'll see he has 3 pieces they're advertising for me here. They're all about dolls, so he must have had something. He really liked dolls. But I find this descriptions on these kind of amusing sometimes. This says, these distinctive piano solos written in the modern idiom by one of America's foremost composers are standard favorites in the repertoires of leading radio personalities and recommended by instructors as essential requirements in the libraries of musician students. That's musician-students. So the wedding of the painted doll is an immortal, world-renowned. This is an interesting composition that has earned a well-deserved niche in the field of outstanding music. The Ragdoll is a lilting popular standard composition for piano, delightful to play and listen to, truly a must in every piano library. And then Doll Dance is an outstanding musical modern mood, light, vivacious, brilliant, and typically American. Just like Doll Dance always are, I guess, I don't know. And it does say right here that copies are obtainable at your music dealers, and it just says music dealers. Yes, incomplete thought there, I guess. Anyway, there's his picture. Kind of impressive mustache. So anyway, I think that is rather amusing that they're advertising that heavily on the back of this. So it could be that, like they say, this piece, Dainty Miss, was unreasonably popular, as it said. In the piece I read about him, that they were like, okay, we got to try to sell some other stuff. You know, people are buying this. So that's what we have there on the back. There's actually more on the inside from a different person they want you to buy, and then there's more on the front cover also on the inside that they want you to buy. So I'm not going to read all of it. This one was the most amusing, so that's why I picked that. So without further ado, let's play Dainty Miss by Bernard Barnes. Okay, so being an organist myself, I can tell you that this is certainly, parts of it are pretty obviously originally for a theater organ, because there's plenty of places in this that have impossible to reach left-hand notes that they clearly just kind of put a roll there, and they're like, yeah, we're not rewriting or rearranging the whole thing for piano versus that, so we're just gonna, kind of fudge it. So they did that. So I gotta say that sight read I just did, I did some liberties there with some of those rolls. I just left out some of the notes that were impossible to reach since I had not played this before. But I tried to keep the right hand melody pretty much intact, which I did, I have to say, do okay with that. So you could hear, to me, it sounds very oriental, and when I say that, I mean kind of like Japanese, because it uses the parallel fourths pretty much throughout the entire thing. It gives it that standard sound you associate with Japanese music in particular, like traditional Japanese music. So to me, that's the way it sounded. I don't know that it was meant to be that way. Our picture here doesn't give us much info about what type of dainty miss we're talking about, so it could be that he intended it to sound oriental. I don't know. But that's my feeling on it. Hope you enjoyed.